こんばんは。ForexTV ニューヨークのレミです。2月12日火曜日の為替レポートニューヨークレビューをお伝えします。12日のアメリカ株式相場は反発しました。ダウ工業株30週平均は大幅に続伸しました。ダウ平均は前日比133ドル40セント高の 12,373 ドル41セントで終えた。ナスダック総合株価は前日比 0.02 ポイント安の2320.04 で終えた。ニューヨーク外国為替市場で円相場は反落しました。著名投資家ウォーレン・バフェット氏が金融保証会社の保証する地方債の再保証を提案したと述べたことが伝わりました。金融市場の混乱が落ち着き、株式相場が上昇しました。円売りドル買いが優勢、円は一時107円52銭まで下落しました。ドル円は前日比35銭円安ドル高の107円25銭から35銭で取引を終えた。またユーロ円は前日比1円15銭円安ユーロ高の156円40銭から50銭で取引を終えた。それではデイリー FX.com のボリス・ロスバーグさんとのインタビューをご覧ください。
So in today's session, we're seeing continued dollar softness against the euro as well as the sterling. But let's start out with euro dollar first. Last week, we saw the euro pull back significantly against the U.S. currency. But post G7 and after the comments out from the ECB, we've seen a divergence between what people expect to see from the ECB. So if you could give us your take on what the primary drivers are for the U.S. dollar pullback today.
Mainly, actually, I think it was really Warren Buffett. The euro definitely found a very, very solid floor at the 144.50 level after the dollar had a corrective rally for the last several weeks. Post G7, ECB came out relatively hawkish, despite the fact that Eurozone data is clearly getting very, very soft. But really, the story today was basically Warren Buffett. What happened was he had come out saying he was going to guarantee the $800 billion worth of bonds for the monoline insurers. That created a massive removal of worry from the equity market. Equities verticalized, and then, of course, created flows to the carry trade, which in turn levitated euro-yen all the way up, and that brought the euro-dollar up. Up until that point, euro-dollar was really sort of struggling 20 points either way of yesterday's close, but this was the big story that lifted everything up, and it looks like we might be closing out on the highs, and risk assumptions should pretty much continue for the rest of the night into Asia.
And indeed, we've seen U.S. equities rally in today's session on the heels of the Warren Buffett news. And the Dow Industrials saw a triple-digit gain up over 200 points in the session. Right. But meanwhile, in terms of price action for dollar-yen, we've seen it stuck in between 106 and 108. So going ahead to the upcoming session, what ranges do you expect to see in that pair?
Yeah, dollar-yen is really, I think, contained by this 108, 108.15 level, primarily because U.S. interest rates are clearly expected to go down further, and the compression in the interest rate differential between the dollar and the yen is becoming very, very severe. So dollar-yen as a de facto carry trade is losing its luster by the day, and dollar-yen really only rises when euro-yen rises itself. On the heels of it. It doesn't have any intrinsic flow into it. So that's why you're seeing much more modest rise in dollar-yen relative to euro-yen and euro-dollar itself, which are much more preferable carry trades at this point in the currency market.
Okay, I want to shift our focus over to the sterling. We had a CPI and PPI data out from the UK, but tomorrow we'll also be getting the BOE quarterly inflation report. We've seen sterling strengthen against the dollar, breaking 196 in today's session. But given expectations of more rate cuts from the BOE, if you could give us your take and strategy for trading sterling against the majors right now.
Yeah, sterling's story was actually very interesting today because we had very hot PPI numbers yesterday, and they were completely reversed by the CPI numbers today. It basically suggests the following, that UK businesses are facing very, very strong cost pressures on the input side, but have virtually no pricing power on the output side. And that creates, in my opinion, a very tight squeeze on profit margins, and most likely necessitate further easing from the BOE. But the BOE is sort of refusing to, I think, acknowledge the inherent slowdown within the UK economy and still focusing very much on pricing pressures. It's focusing much more on the input cost side of the equation. And tonight's inflation report could perhaps be more hawkish than the market expects. That's probably one of the reasons why the pound has managed to remain relatively buoyant in this environment, because the market still thinks that the BOE is going to be more hawkish than dovish, despite the fact that UK economy is starting to see some serious signs of slowdown. The other interesting thing that's going to be coming up today is going to be the UK employment report. And if that shows a serious sign of deterioration, really it's going to be very hard for BOE to justify remaining hawkish for the rest of the quarter.
以上、デイリー FX.com のボリシュ・ロスバーグさんとのインタビューでした。ForexTV ニューヨークのレミがお伝えしました。最新の為替情報については ForexTV ジャパンをご覧ください。